Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to TraderMerlin Show for your Monday edition. It's a little bit of a different show today. About a week ago, I received an email from a viewer. We will her name's on the slide here in just a second. And it was dealing with retirement. So I've emailed you back, but I didn't hear anything back. So I wanted to just get this show out of my inventory before I forget about it. When it really is just a simple question of, do you have enough money to retire? Now, the question was initially sent in from Esther. Esther says, my husband, 64 years old, and I, 62 years old, are considering retirement soon. We're wondering if we're financially prepared and would appreciate your thoughts. Our home is fully paid off, and we have $900,000 across various retirement and investment accounts. Esther. Okay, first off, the dirty work is I'm not a financial planner. I'm not a financial advisor, although I did work for a financial planning firm when I was younger. I can't give you financial advice like this. I can just kind of point you in the right direction so you can answer some of those questions yourself. John says, not in this country. Well, the reality is with those numbers that you showed me, I can't tell you yes or no. There's too many other variables that I need, and that's what I emailed you back, Esther, and asked for some clarity there, and I understand if you don't want to give me those numbers, that's fine. But everybody needs to kind of at least map out where they stand. What do your numbers look like? And, you know, some of you might be shocked at how horrible it is. And others you might go, well, wait a minute, maybe I will just retire. We see Lori here says, I have enough and I'm already retired, but I love trading options. So more is fun to donate to charity. Awesome. That's great for you. And I love that you can give to causes that you believe in, Lori. Yeah, most people don't have that luxury. So you're already retired, loving it, great. You probably have some good input on this show as well. Lisa says, and it depends on your lifestyle. Correct. So one of the variables in here is going to be expenses. And we all have different expenses. Some of you might live, I know some of you might live in Alabama. Alabama is significantly cheaper to live in than Southern California. Housing prices. I mean, I could probably sell a home here and move to Alabama and just consider myself retired with some of the value of the properties you have there. Of course, I have other things to consider when I would move somewhere like that. So let me walk you through. I'm going to, Esther, and I hope you and your husband are watching, I'm going to walk through just kind of things that I would look at, and then I will show you some calculators that you can sit there and play with and modify and see where you stand. The reality is, you know, you could go to a financial advisor. I'm assuming you probably have over your years. You've got $900,000 saved, which is nice. Again, it depends on where you're at. But let's see. Lisa says, my real estate taxes alone are, $14.5 in New Jersey. You must have a nice place there, Lisa. And it's Jersey? Man, you got to get out of there. Come on, move. All right, so here is kind of, I did this really quickly because I've been so unbelievably busy these past couple weeks, obviously with traveling and other factors. But let's look at some of the main retirement variables. So number one, you already have answered there, which is how much you have saved. Now, if you have $900,000 saved, to some that might seem like a tremendous amount. To other people, it may not seem like enough for their current lifestyle. So I can't tell you what that's going to, if that's enough, until you tell me the second line item here, which is what's your monthly expenses during retirement. Now, this is an interesting one and a challenging one for people to do. I have, as Ricardo is here, I've been meaning to do a show for Ricardo on personal finance. And it's kind of one of the books I'm writing is dealing with personal finance. And just the fact that most people have no idea how much they spend per month. They just spend. I was talking to my buddy today, who I messaged him today, and I helped him out financially a few years back. And I said, what's your goal? What's your goal? He says, my dream is to buy my home. I said, okay, I'll help you get past your credit card issues and some of your debt problems. If that's really your goal and you're going to put your mind to it. And I helped him. He got out of his credit card debt. And once he had that all paid off, he just started spending more and more money and put himself right back into financial debt. So, I'm not going to help him out a second time. We got to take care of our own things. But it's about expenses. And there are some really good calculators. Let me just give you this one here. If you go over to tradingacademy.com, just go to their homepage and you see a little tab there that says Tools and Calculators. Now, you have a Financial Education Center as well for some basic financial education for free, but just click on that Calculators tab, and I'm going to drop this into the chat as well, so you guys might add this to a bookmark. I think there's a lot of really good resources in here. So there's all sorts of credit card management. There's investment calculators. So you can kind of check what your investment portfolio would be doing. What I would start with here, Esther, is I would have you and your husband do a home budget analysis. And really, it's finding where your money goes. It's not that hard to do, but let's just say, I'm going to just throw in some real quick numbers here, but let's say it says gross net monthly income, right? What's your gross amount that you're paid? Let's say you guys make, I don't know, 10 grand a month between the two of you, so 5,000 each. Income's paid monthly. Let's take 30% of that for taxes, so we'll take $3,000. I'm being extremely quick and aggressive here. We'll take a couple $100 for state income taxes, and another couple $100 for withholding taxes. They're taxing you on the taxes that they taxes you on. So we'll just go through that, and I'll leave that alone. We have other income coming in. I'm just saying, based off this check, how much do you have there? Now you go through and calculate out your house payment. So you have no home payment. Let's say you both have cars and you're paying, I don't know, $400 a month, right? You're older, you're wiser, you're probably not buying brand new cars or anything like that. Credit cards. I'm assuming you don't have any credit card debt, but let's just say you're spending $300 a month in credit cards, and that's it. Your utilities. All right, we'll just make this an easy one. $100 for electric, $100 for gas, $100 for sewer and water, $100 for cable, and $100 for phone and internet. Now these are, I'm just firing this off very quickly so you can see the example, but our utilities for electric, gas, water, sewage, cable, telephone, $600 a month. Now here's where I see most people just lose it, is their food. You're going to be retired. You're going to be cooking at home a lot. You're going to be eating at restaurants and going out a lot. I mean, those are huge factors. Let's say that you spend $400 a month on food. You don't drive much, so you're at $200 a month on gas and maintenance. You like to go, Esther, you probably like to shop. Let's say you're $300 a month just in, nice things. And maybe you donate $100 a month to your church, okay? Then you got insurance. Putting all that insurance in here. Of course, I don't know where you live, Esther, but let's say you live in Southern California. Your monthly, hold on. These are huge. These are big mistakes here. This is monthly payments here, so I don't want to be paying $100. Well, I guess it could be $100 a month. I'll drop some of these. These are a little bit aggressive and high numbers. Sewer and water is not going to be that much. All right, there we go. And insurance. Obviously, auto insurance, let's just be aggressive and call it $100 a month. Life insurance, maybe you have some grandkids or children that you want to, kind of make sure they're protected if something happens. So we'll make that a small amount, though. Health insurance, that's probably going to be expensive in your old age. And you have homeowners insurance. So let's say your average policy is going to be $2,000 something a year. We'll call you $100 a month. Okay? And again, I'm running these through super quickly. Ask yourself if you're working until 70 or when. Exactly. And that's the second part we'll get to here in John in just a second. I just wanted to show you real quick, like if we ran those numbers, they have monthly expenses of $2,720, leaving them with $3,680 available for savings. Oh, well, that's good, right? So that's a pretty positive cash flow position to be in if they're making $10,000 combined a month. That means that at the end of the month, they have plenty of wiggle room here, plenty to work with. They've got $3,600 positive per month. So they could certainly cut back on the amount of money that they're spending, but they don't need to. They could save here. They could cut back on the number of hours they're working. But at least with these numbers, if you run them for yourselves, and you guys can all do this, it's a totally free calculator, you'll at least know where you stand. Now, I have on my phone, I have an app. I think I've discussed this with you guys before. It's called Expense. One second. Expense Tracker, I believe. It just says expense and has a weird little logo on it. Let me see. It's called Pocket Expense. It's just a free thing. I think Mint does it as well. Big Ep says $400 a month for food. I spend 4 times that. Well, Ed, run your own numbers, right? With Pocket Expense, what I would encourage you to do is pick a month. Like we're in the middle of the month right now, but when we get to July 1st, so another couple weeks, start on July 1st and track every single thing that you do. If you buy a pack of gum for 50 cents, write it down. If you make your mortgage payments, your rent income, anything that you do expense-wise, either income or expenses, write it down in there. Now, what's really cool is it comes up with little pie charts just like this, so you can see where you stand. This was eye-opening for me. I did this I think I probably did this like 6 years ago, where I did it everything I bought and transacted with for 1 month. And I realized that I was spending a lot of money eating out. a bulk of my expenses was dining out. There's a local place. I think I was paying their mortgage for that business. I was eating out so much. So, you start to learn where those expenses are and cut back if needed. The thing here is, let's be Big Eb here. Big Eb says he spends 4 times that much. Let's go $1,600 here for food. Okay, so even if they did that, remember, this is for 2 people. So you're right. They should probably jump that up a little bit. These numbers are probably a bit low, right? Maybe it's $400 for gas and, $300 for 2 people to shop for the month. Maybe she really is aggressive and loves to go maybe $600 a month. That still gives them $1,900 in positive cash flow. If your numbers are negative, so for example, let's say that, Esther, you don't work and your husband is the breadwinner and he's, working not full time. He's making let's say he's making $3,000 a month. Okay, now all of a sudden you look at this pie chart, you're negative $600 or you're negative $5,000 a month. That's terrible, right? This is not a good situation to be in. So it's about finding out how positive excuse me, not negative 5,000, negative $600 a month, right? So in Miami, for food is $1,000 for a single family. Ricardo, it totally depends on how you're doing it. I have a couple of friends that they just eat at home. They never go out. They always eat at home. You'll save yourself a boatload of money doing that. If you're like me and you eat out a few times a week, that expense is going to get much, much higher. But, in my mind, as long as this number down here, this monthly net income is a positive number, then you already have a head start. You're already okay. You can already do something. If your number looks like this and you're negative, you have to go back and figure out where you can modify these numbers, meaning change your habits to get that number to be positive, right? So that's your second variable I have on here is, what are your monthly expenses today, right? What are you spending your money on right now in a period of 1 month? How much do you spend? So how much do you spend in a month versus how much have you earned in that month? Now, obviously during retirement, things are going to change a little bit, right? You're probably not going to be working. So where are you going to get that money from? Will that be coming from your investments? Are you getting rates of return on that? That requires the next step here, which is planning out your retirement variables, your numbers. I heard to live comfortably for retirement, 5 to 15 million. I totally disagree with that, Oliver. Totally disagree with that. I'll explain why in a second. If we don't have that much, but we're very comfortable and have been trading a lot, or traveling a lot lately. Awesome. Laurie, I'm excited. Good for you. Not having a mortgage is a huge deal, right? All of this is based off your own personal situation. So it should be, for most of us, your goal that when you hit retirement, you don't have a mortgage anymore, right? Maybe you even are renting out a room in your home or renting out that home and downsizing to another home and using that house as income generation to pay you during your retirement. I plan on the house that I'm in, which is a fairly large house. I don't plan on living here forever. I actually plan on moving, renting out this house at some point, because for what I paid for it and the rent income that this area dictates, I'll be positive cash flow for a long time. It's like having a job just pay me just to have this house. I mean, that's one of the big goals. Tom says, thanks to our governor, 7 taquitos cost me $22 last week. It's funny. It depends where you go. But yes, I can get you a box of, I think it's 75 taquitos at Costco for $21, bud. There you go. I can get you 10x your quantity for less. Anyway, so that's your first step, is that home budget. Where do you stand? And I know most of you probably know this, because I think most of you are savvy with your investments. I think most of you are experienced and adult. But for those of you who are younger, or those of you who have, children in their early 20s, they point them back to the show and be like, hey, listen, this is what you need to think about. Like, think about your expenses. When you go in, I think I mentioned this story before. I had a buddy, Jay. Oh, good old Jay. Jay inherited $20,000 from his grandfather. And I told him, I said, let me handle it for you. This is back when I was willing to do that type of stuff. Now I have no interest. I go, let me handle it for you, because I know that you're going to do something poorly. What we'll do is we will put that money into investments, pretend you never even got it, and we'll grow that for your future. Of course, what do you think Jay said? He was in his 20s, and he goes, nope. He bought himself a Honda Accord, and he put in all this rims and tires, custom rims, custom tires, a new stereo. It was a cool car. Now it's a piece of trash that's probably worth about $3,000. So he's just lost value on that. Whereas the right thing to do would have been to take it, grow it, and invest it but unfortunately, we don't always do that. So first step, monthly expenses during retirement. If you don't know what those numbers are, spend the next month and a half figuring them out. Map them out. From there, the real fun happens. Mimi says, I'm renting my house and live in Thailand. Oh, man. Mimi, you live in Thailand? We got to talk. Email me. Where are you at? I would love to. I can't buy a house in Thailand, but I could rent in Thailand. But, oh, man, huge fan. So let's go back to our calculators here. And I'm going to show you the next one, which I think is a lot of fun to play with. Regardless of where you are in your retirement planning, how close you are to retirement, you can click on this retirement planning calculator. It's pretty cool. Let me bump the font up here just a little bit. So in this one, I'm going to do this these numbers for, it's tough because this, I'm going to do this for Esther. She says she's 62. Let's say you want to retire at 65. All of these variables are unknowns that I kind of need to know. I need to know, what's your annual household income? So for example, let's say, your annual household income, if it's $50,000 just for you, right? That's what you're making now for the next, say, that's 3 years. And let's say you save 8% of that. Your current retirement savings, you told me $900,000, but let's say half of that is yours and half of that's your husband's. So you have $450,000. Okay, put that number in there. And then you scroll down here and it says expected annual income increase. All right, fine. Let's say you got a 2% increase per year. And then pre-retirement income desired in retirement. So like how much you're going to need money-wise. And again, this is why you have to do the budgeting to see where you are. Now, this is 80%. So that would assume that you're going to need $40,000 a year in retirement to cover all of your living expenses, your healthcare costs, rent, mortgage, all that stuff. If that's too much, you don't need $40,000. Let's say you only need $30,000. Well, then drop this down to, let's say, 60%. Right? So this variable is going to be very, very significant for you in your planning. So just based off those variables, I can see here that if you started this and you hit retirement at 65, your account would slowly run down and you would ultimately run out of cash. Let's see. You would ultimately run out of cash at 85 years of age. Inflation absolutely does eat away at everything. Now, one thing that I've done here is you can see there's a drop-down tab here. And it says rate of return before retirement. I have this at 7%. Well, the average is between 8 and 10. Why don't we just say 9%? And then during retirement, it says 4%. And the assumption here would be that you're buying bonds and you're just using that income there. You really, during retirement, you probably don't want to be playing the stock market like you did when you were younger. But right now, you can get 5% rates of return during retirement. Lock in a 10-year bond. Well, actually, you can't get the 10-year for, let's see, Big Eb, you know it. What's it at, 4.2? 4.28. So let's say you retired today and you bought some long-term bonds at 4.28%. Okay? And inflation, well, inflation says 2.9%. Let's bump that up to 3. And then here's the big kicker for me, everybody. I'm a skeptic. I don't trust my government. I think it's annoying. Social Security, I have, ever since I worked for a financial planning firm, I always told myself that during all of these calculations, I will never include Social Security. When you run these numbers, try to do it without Social Security. Because if you get to that point that you're retiring and our system collapses, I think it will do down the road. We could be decade, 20 years out, but I think the government's going to collapse here under the weight of their debt. What happens to Social Security? Does it disappear altogether? If I plan for not having any Social Security, then I won't be disappointed. But if I get to the point that I retire and Social Security is there, it's like, yeah, bonus, right? You got a super bonus check. So I always leave this unchecked. It says include Social Security. No, sir, we're not going to do that in this example. Now, how did that change things? Well, it added another year, right? You added an extra year to your money before it officially ran out. Now, what if we did include that? Everything changes now. Notice based off that, you'd never run out of money. Because it says your plan provides $543,000 when you retire. This assumes annual retirement expenses of $31,212, which is 60% of your last year's income of $52,000. And this includes $18,675 per year from Social Security. Based off that, You will never run out of money, right? So I'd rather you do it without this included so we can see worst case scenario. I'm not planning for Social Security when I retire. Exactly, Oliver. And nobody should. I think it could give you false hope. And imagine if you set up all your financial planning is done saying, I have Social Security, and you get there and all of a sudden, oh yeah, sorry, that Ponzi scheme is finally over. You don't get anything. You'd be pretty disappointed. So I'd rather you be surprised that, hey, it is there versus disappointed that, oh, it's not there, right? So plan for not having Social Security payments. So the other piece here I marked on that is Social Security under retirement variables. And I think that, of course, many people are looking forward to that and thinking that they need to have Social Security. It's critical to your retirement. Okay, fine. I personally will omit it. And then I would say one of the big wild cards here is medical costs. Obviously, healthcare as you get older becomes one of your major expenses. And I'm assuming you're going to have healthcare insurance. I don't know whether that's covered through your employers or what the case may be there. But you have to factor that one in. So just telling me that you have $900,000 doesn't really help me much. I know you want to retire. So what was the exact numbers you said? You said home is worth $900,000 and it's paid off. Or sorry, our home is paid off and we have $900,000. That's great because when you go out to this calculator over here, and let's say we go back to your expense calculator. Let's see, where's my home budget analysis calculator? If you fill this one out with all those different variables and you now take out your mortgage, this is a big thing, right? If I don't have a house payment, all of a sudden my numbers start to look pretty good. When I built this lesson for OTA years ago, I ran through multiple examples of younger people, older people, middle-aged people, and kind of what their different challenges are facing them at specific points in their life cycle. Particularly the younger ones run up a bunch of credit. They have student loans they have to pay off. They don't really understand personal finance and money, which has been my big area of interest. I would love to force into our education system personal finance. I'm jaded. I kind of think it's a scam. I think that the industry has made it on purpose that people don't understand personal finance. And I think that the reason for that is the whole financial industry, whether you're talking life insurance, financial advisors, financial planners, that whole industry of money makers is built off people not knowing what they're doing. So if we come up with a society where people now know what they're doing, hey, I know my income, I know my expenses, I know my liabilities, and now I can plan accordingly and save myself, and plan for the future, we won't need these people. It's not rocket science. It's actually fairly simple, especially for those of you who have taken the core strategy class as well as the strategic investor course. There's a lot of very useful information there as far as planning out those steps for your future. So let's see. I understand the thought on Social Security, and there will be 15% of payroll flowing into FICA. Well, yeah, the money's still going to be coming out. And where does that money go ultimately, right? Where does Social Security end up going? Social Security, if I'm not mistaken, Social Security, when it first was invented or proposed, was designed for people living to 69 years old. Right, that was the long end of that curve. So you retire at 65, you pass on at 69 years old. So they're thinking all this money put in, okay, great. If based off people having 4 years worth of benefits, maybe 5 years worth of benefits, Social Security would have done fine. Instead, now you have people living to 80, 90, 100 and taking Social Security benefits for 20 years longer than expected. That puts a significant strain on the system. And the more people that are retiring and taking those benefits and living longer, because we do have better living through chemistry, we have better living through science. The average age expectation life expectancy has been getting further and further out. I believe, actually, if I'm not mistaken, I think that the most recent reading of life expectancy actually had a decline. Let me see. I hate spewing facts that I'm not 100% sure on. Let's see. Life expectancy by country. How about by country, right? See who's got it the best. Who do you guys think has got the longest life expectancy? I remember this one. I remember reading this as a trivia question once. I was like, what? No way. All right, here you go. Overall, around the world, females, you live 76 years longer, or 76 years. Males, 70.8. That's the average. Now, of course, this takes in some really hard time, countries with significant health issues. Let's go look at United States. Let's go. We are way down the list here. Hello, how far down are we? United Kingdom, the United States. We're 47th on life expectancy. And let's see. I just want to know what the columns are. Males and females. Got it. So looking at this one, in the United States, males live to 77 on average. So now you have a healthcare system, a social security system, that is paying males 8 years longer than it was supposed to when it started. And the average life expectancy for a female in the United States, 82 years old. But that, look, you would think, come on, how many of you would think that the United States should be the leader in this, right? Yeah, I would think so too. We're not even close. Let's scroll up to the top here and see who's number one. Hong Kong. I find this hard to believe. I find this hard to believe. The top two, Hong Kong is number one and Macau number two. Japan is third. In Hong Kong, 83 years of age is the life expectancy for males, 88 for females. Out of all of these, where would I want to live? I probably would take Italy. They're number 6. Ma l'uomo italiano vivono alla 88 anni. Oh. True, Liz. We do have a society that is a feast and famine, but it's more feast, right? The supersized movie was rather eye-opening there. But yeah, interesting to see life expectancies. I see Thailand was on there. Where's Thailand? Sawadee Kap, Kapung Kap. Where was Thailand? There, Thailand is above the United States. You'll live longer, folks, if you go to Thailand. Actually, the women do, the men do not. That's a striking statistic there. Anyway, I won't spend too much time there. That's because all the crap in our food system that our government allows, plus fast food addiction. Yep, 100%. 100%. I've told this story so many times, but it's one that just fascinates me. Here in California, I can go to the grocery store and buy a loaf of Oro wheat, right? Just grab some bread because I'm going to make sandwiches for the week. Got to save some money and eat at home, right? That loaf of bread will stay on the shelf and stay soft as a pillow for over a month and not mold. You're like, okay, wow, that's great, cool. Bread stays longer. When I lived in Italy, I went to a local market down the street, and they had these great outdoor markets, and I brought a loaf of bread, brought it home, and I ate some that night, and I was going to save some for the next day and next couple weeks and make sandwiches. That loaf of bread was rock solid. I mean, I could have probably killed someone by throwing it at their head. It was so hard within 24 hours. Why? No preservatives. It's all natural. America, we have preservatives in almost everything that we eat. So yeah, I think that does actually put us down the list just a little bit. So, not the bread I buy. You got the good stuff, Lisa? You got the good stuff? Avoid processed foods. Exactly. That's the point I was getting at. It's crazy. You see these pictures of like McDonald's French fries they've been in a container in a museum on a shelf for like 30 years, and they look exactly the same as they did 30 years ago. I'm crazy. Tom says, life expectancy before fast food was 39 years. Oh, let's see what else we got. There we go. Merlin, can you share the link? Sure. Absolutely. Yeah. And again, we have to trust what we're getting from the internet, right? So who knows how accurate it is. I actually remember hearing it was like Norway. I thought was one of like the top ones. The Scandinavian countries, Norway, Sweden, Denmark, I thought were really high on the list, but apparently not. All right, preservatives in everything, and we wonder why there are so many food allergies. Now, it would be nice if you had just whole natural foods without, but it's GMO foods as well. We're tampering with the matrix of fruits and vegetables. We just don't really know what the outcome will ultimately be there. But anyway, we're going down a weird path here. But that home budget analysis, will help you understand exactly how long you make it. And if we're using that calculator like we just did for the retirement planner for Esther and her husband here, did the numbers stay? That shows that you'd be running out right around 86 years old. Now, personally, it said my life expectancy is going to be, what, 77, 79? I don't believe that's going to be the case. I believe I'm going to live much longer than that. Let's see. I want to beat the average. What, we were 45th? It says I'm going to live to be about 77 on average in the United States, I'm going to at least, I'm going 90. I want to be that grumpy, crotchety old guy who people are like, what is with that old dude? That's going to be me at 90. I'm going to continue to keep on going. All right. Japan makes total sense. All the seafood, Ricardo, yeah. Rice and seafood. Genetics play a part in it too. I have family that lived in their 80s and 90s back. Yeah, absolutely. You know, I think the important thing is you always got to just think about what you're putting in your body. It's hard sometimes. I'll tell you, I have an addiction. I don't have many addictions, but one of my addictions is Dr. Pepper. I don't know why. I love the taste of Dr. Pepper. So every now and again, I'll break down and have a Dr. Pepper. But I certainly don't have one every single day. It's like, don't want to be doing that. That's how I keep my money invested until the wheels fall off. And this is an interesting point. So for Esther and her husband, you saw comments from Lisa in here and Liz and Lori talking about, I'm trading. I'll keep trading. And I think that'll be the case for me as well. I don't think I'll retire. I am assuming that when I get older and I'm nearing retirement, that I'm not going to get these rates of return. That my numbers would be more like, if I'm going to consistently do my 1% rate of return per month thing, then, my numbers change dramatically. And that whole picture changes dramatically. Notice that if I was getting my 1% strategy, meaning 12% per year, I won't run out of money with those variables that you have here. And let's go in, what was I going to do? I could even start with less money. And just knowing that I'm going to be getting a greater rate of return and actually spending less than I'm earning, great. I could even go out here and change my income, meaning I would be needing $40,000 a year as opposed to $30,000, and I still don't run out of money. Let's see, what if I go 100%? I'm going to curious to see when this variable changes and actually start to lose money. Okay, so that's where it is. It's about, if I need $50,000 a year, well, it still doesn't run out. So anyway, I could go on and on for hours with this. I'm going to ask if this is an online trading academy thing. Yes, it is. It's a you just go to tradingacademy.com, which I showed you earlier right at the top. All right, so when you go to their home page, there is a button there that says tools and then calculators. And there's a ton more, by the way. And these are all free, so feel free to play with these, enjoy them. If you have questions, let me know. But the ones I would recommend would be doing the home budget analysis and the retirement planner. Those are probably the two most important ones on here. Mix a Coca-Cola with Dr. Pepper, and I get root beer with cola, and I get Dr. Pepper. Not true. Here's why I know that's not true. Because root beer is caffeine free. Coke has, I believe, 48 milligrams of caffeine per can. So by that, if I took those two things together and have 0 and 48 divided by 2, I should have 24% caffeine in that. Dr. Pepper has more caffeine than Coca-Cola. So it might almost taste the same. It's those 23 flavors, man, that get me every time. No, I didn't look at that one, Eric. I haven't looked at that one yet. By the way, this calculator is also available as a free Excel template. Oh, that's cool. If you use Microsoft Office, that's good to know. Merlin, could we have a class on ETFs, please? Sure. ETFs? Absolutely. Not today. We'll have to wrap this thing up today. I'm so busy. I'm overwhelmed. You can see I look disheveled this morning or this afternoon because I was teaching a class this morning, a 3-hour class this morning, and I have an 8-hour or 7-hour class on Wednesday. So it sucks because my only 2 days to trade this week are going to be tomorrow. But I'm recording videos tonight from 11 p.m. probably till about 5 a.m. in my house. So we'll see how active I am tomorrow. So really my only real days are going to be Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday to do trading because Wednesday is totally out. So I'm a little bit bummed about this week, but it is what it is. Being as active as Warren Buffett would be great. Hey, Warren Buffett drinks Coca-Cola and McDonald's all the time. All the time. Okay, so Esther, that's all I can really say. I can't tell you whether you can retire or not. Where do you live? What are your expenses? You could maybe even modify your numbers by moving out of your house, renting that out, and using that to pay for another mortgage. Or there's all sorts of things we can do. But the fact you have $900,000 is great. Is that a lot or a little? I don't know. Your home paid off is probably one of the biggest factors for you in your favor. Depending on where you are, property taxes might be very high, and that costs could be expensive for you. It could be 1%, could be 2%. All these states that people move to, like, I'm moving to Florida, I'm moving to Texas because there's no state income tax. They're getting you somewhere, right? They're going to tax you somewhere. A lot of times they don't have state income tax. You have higher property taxes and other taxes to balance those things out. So just something to keep in mind. Now, once you know your numbers, well, then you can adjust those and say, maybe I'll retire at 64, 65, 66. And one thing to keep in mind, if you look at Social Security, is you can delay when you start to pull out your Social Security and get paid more. Right? I think it goes up an extra, is it 8% per year? I'm not a Social Security expert, but I think it goes up another 8% per year that you delay taking it out until you're forced to take it out. What is it, 70 or 72? You're forced to take it out. So I'm not a Social Security expert. Don't don't hold me to my feet to that fire. But if you thought you were going to retire at 65 and you didn't need the money, you could wait on taking your Social Security distributions until 66, 67, 70, and the longer you wait, the more money you'll be receiving in your monthly payments. Let's see, 70 is the final. Merlin, I'm planning to be at the crypto class. Hope you will not be too tired. You mean the one on Thursday or on Wednesday? I'll be tired, but it's fine. I operate good when I'm tired. Lance, I'm continuing to drive an old car in order to buy out a friend's lease, saving several thousand. Everyone wants me to splurge. Yeah, I don't see the point, Larry. Why? I mean, it'd be nice to have a brand new car, but if your car works fine and you're comfortable with it, I mean, I barely drive my truck that much anymore ever since COVID happened, right? I'm just, I don't really drive it that much. Lease ends April 25th. Cool. And Chio, I will see you in Wednesday's focus class. Yeah, that's a long one. It's, it's introductory all the way through getting, all these fairly complex topics for crypto. So it's going to be a long day tomorrow on Wednesday. Let me see. I had some other ones. What were some? I already went to retirement variables. So I'm going to real quickly shift topics here. And again, I hope that was helpful to Esther and others out there, at least food for thought, things to think about with regards to retirement and kind of where you stand. Tom posted this on the YouTube feed. So thank you for posting this one. And you're right. It's interesting. I talk about GameStop being, what do they say? What did John O'Donnell used to say? Like the slowest horse to the glue factory or something like that. Some just horrible comment, but it's true. It's like GameStop, with their current business model, is sinking, and it will end up at the bottom of zero if it continues doing what it's doing. However, as we've seen Michael Saylor, taking out loans and buying Bitcoin, buying more Bitcoin. Tom posted this one. It was a comment that Lisa made in the chat yesterday or on Friday. So Lisa commented, GameStop could reinvest in Bitcoin. There's a simple solution to having a business line deficiency while sitting on $1 billion. I think it's multiple billions of dollars. Was it 4? I believe $4 billion is what they got in their funding round. If they take $1 billion and buy Bitcoin like Michael Saylor did, or $2 or $3 or $4 billion, and don't do anything to their business model, they could potentially get more growth out of that than they would out of putting that into, reinventing their business. They could also buy Ethereum and take Ethereum and then go and stake Ethereum. So now by staking Ethereum, they're getting an extra 3.5% return on their money. So there's multiple things they could be doing, which don't necessarily even have to be a quote-unquote business. Just hold on to Bitcoin, and by holding it and cornering it like Michael Saylor has, you start to drive the price of Bitcoin up. And of course, if they bought $1 billion worth of Bitcoin and it does what I think it's going to do, which is go to 250, then all of a sudden in a year or two, they'd have $4 billion, and the share of GameStop would look fantastic. However, I'm not going to place any bets on that one. GameStop was down 12% today. I am not going to be playing GameStop. I have no interest in it, so if you guys choose to, that's fine. But they do have a lot of free cash right now, and we'll see what they decide to do with that. But I'm with you, Lisa and Tom. I think that could be a pretty interesting ploy on the part of GameStop to generate a bunch of money real quick, is just buy a boatload of crypto with your money. Why not? Now, I don't know how that sits with regulators, what the issues are with regards to regulators, but maybe you buy a bunch of Solana and you stake that and you earn 6%, or you buy Polkadot and you stake that and you make 12%. There are all sorts of things that you could do to capitalize on this next bull market rally that I think is coming in crypto. This is, I heard that New York City teacher who waited until 70 to retire to get more money died 2 months after retirement. I've heard that many times. It's my stepmom recently passed away, and she was just a great person, super intelligent, but she was just a worker. She loved to work, and she was very good at what she did, speech pathologist. And she retired, and then very shortly after she retired, developed cancer and passed away right after that. So, yeah, I don't want to wait too long. You never know. I mean, that's the trick of life, right? We just don't know what's going to happen. We like to say that it's going to be all good stuff and things are going to be great. Thank you, Oliver. But we don't know when our time's going to come. I mean, I hope that I make it to be 100 years old and I'm still in good shape. Otherwise, I don't want to be a miserable person. I'm sure most of us don't want to be miserable, sitting in a hospital bed. So, if I'm still mobile and can get around and can do things, I love it. I want to spend as much time on this giant spinning marble as possible. Thanks, Gio. What do I think of SVOL? No idea. I've never looked at the simplified volatility premium. I'm assuming this is an option play on VIX. So let me real quickly go and do a check on this. If you go to bar chart, I'm assuming this is like options on VIX, but I'll find out. I've never looked at this one. So I got SVOL and see what it tells me on that one under constituents. Okay, simplify aggregate bonds. So it's got high yield bonds, aggregate bonds, and then I'm assuming this is gonna be all options. So yeah, I don't know. I'd have to dig into that one, Larry. I have no clue. Pays a monthly dividend of 16%. I would be very skeptical of that. I think you mean an annual dividend of 16%, don't you? 16% is a giant premium for a monthly SVOL. Let me bring this up here. You got a monthly dividend, 30 cents. Yeah, you're right. Actually, no, it's not 16%. Yeah, it's definitely not 16%. If you look at they're paying 30 cents, which is a little over 1. So 1% would be 22 cents. So they're paying about 1.2 to 1.4% per month. So that averages out to be close to 16% per year, not monthly. There you go. Not bad. I mean, I don't see why that would be a bad thing to be investing in, although I wouldn't do it without digging in and seeing all of the numbers, the details, the fee structures, because I know that there's a lot of these options selling funds that build a position and then they sell options against that, and that's essentially what I'm doing on my own, and I personally would rather just do it on my own. I trust myself. I don't trust ETFs or funds or companies that are running those funds. I just don't know what numbers they're looking at or what they're doing. All right, so Tom and Lisa, thank you for that Bitcoin comment. You are correct. It is it's going to be an interesting time for GameStop, and I kind of hope that they do something like that. Let's see these hedge funds blow up. I would love to see, let's say they buy $1 billion worth of Bitcoin and Bitcoin quadruples in the next year, as I think it's going to do. Well, then all of a sudden, GameStop's earnings are going to be off the charts. Phenomenal. Now, that means go short in November of 2025 if you're following the 4-year cycle. All right, as far as markets go today, I think it was kind of eye-opening for most of the indexes. They were looking pretty strong. We'll look at those here in just a second. So your gold chart. Gold has been flat, done nothing for the past 4 months. We'll wait and see if it gets below this 2,285 level right now, just kind of diversing back and forth. So Tom, if you're out there looking for spreads, GLD might be a good place to go and play that range-bound market. It almost looks like a head and shoulders pattern forming on gold right now, so we'll see if this ends up breaking. Right now, hopefully it'll stay above there. Marking my calendar, short GameStop. We'll wait and see when we get there, Lisa. Let's see what happens to the whole crypto market. Russell 2000 up 0.81% today. Not really anything out of the ordinary, right? It's actually continuing this downtrend we've seen in TAC, even though it was up today. So a good start to Monday, but that shorter term trend, which started mid-May, is still down. S&P 500. Hallelujah, hallelujah. I need to get some sound effects for you guys. I have a whole sound program that I bought years ago, and I should use that because this would definitely be a hallelujah moment. S&P screaming to the upside again today. All-time highs, all-time intraday highs, all-time closing high. 55.46 was the number there. 0.8% gain for the S&P. Then you had your crude oil, which was looking great today as well. You know, we have a similar picture. It's almost like the Russell, where it's been down for the past couple of months, right? Just kind of drifting lower. Now all of a sudden starting to pick up some strength, but in order for it to really do anything in my book, I got to get above this pivot high, which goes back to May 29th. That's at $80.62. But boy, a nice 1.62% gain today. Your dollar index also had a fairly nice day today. Now the numbers look different now in the after hour session, but on the day, your dollar index was up 0.26%. At one point it was up 0.54%. Hold on one sec. Yep, 0.54%, and now we're bouncing around. Hold on a second here. Why did my numbers not adjust? They were out of order. My bad. You actually had a down day for the Dixie. Is it important? Well, look where we're at. I wouldn't call that relevant at all. Your 10-year, which Big Eb's he's getting cocky over there. He's like, hey, it's going to be below 3.9. It's all right. I was getting cocky when it was jumping up 4.7%. So we'll see. We're right, I think, a mid-distance between. But 3.99 definitely on the plate. It could certainly happen, particularly if we get some rate cuts here, and that will lower the whole yield curve, particularly the short end. Right now you're looking at a 4.28% yield for that 10-year. There you go, Esther. That might be your retirement vehicle to get you your rate of return that you need. We looked at the S&P. We looked at the Russell. We did not look at the NASDAQ, which is up 1.24% on the day, one of your better performers. And again, NASDAQ looking just like the S&P, ripping all-time highs. Fantastic for all the bulls out there. Can stay long until this thing corrects and tells you to get out. And finally, a little bit of an up move for Bitcoin, but the picture still is there towards slightly sideways to bearish prices. I'm not concerned about this one at all. I will leave this one all alone. Okay, can we do a 6-month update as to where we think the S&P will end this year? Not tomorrow. Let's do that. Actually, so I wasn't planning on doing a show on Wednesday because the markets are closed, and I'm going to be talking all morning up until 1:30. So I won't do a show on Wednesday. Just I need the time to recover. My voice is already going out. So we can do that maybe on Friday, Lisa. Remind me. I'll find that spreadsheet because for some reason I couldn't find it. But we'll bust out the spreadsheet and we'll do a mid-year update. Or maybe we do it July 1st because that's that 6-month, right, the end of the 6 months. So maybe we'll do it in a week or so. But I will certainly make it a point to get there and show you that one, and we'll update it. You're spinning? Shouldn't be spinning. I'm seeing it looks like it's coming through, but all right, let's go to your economic calendar and your earnings calendar for this week. We do have some pretty big announcements happening, particularly with interest rates from other parts of the world. Here is what you have for tomorrow. Actually, you know what? I'm going to wait here 1 second. Merlin, the class on ETFs for retirement. Oh, you mean like what ETFs should you be in during retirement? I could look at that. I could certainly. Two people spinning. Oh, great. Well, for me, it's showing no spinning, and it's showing a commercial starting right now. All right. Well, hopefully that fixes. I don't see anything. Uh-oh. All right. Well, it's not spinning for me right now. I'm not sure what that issue is. We'll I'll wrap up here so we can hopefully get out of that. Hopefully the commercials ended. Big Ev's got it all good. I don't know why, because I can see if there's any latency issues, and there's been no technical issues on my end. So that's right, Chio. Don't forget to hit that like button. So let's go look at what you have for tomorrow. Obviously, Tuesday the 18th, there is a few big announcements. Retail sales, what's coming out for the U.S. The expectation right now is that we're going to see a jump from 0 to 0.3. So that would obviously be a good thing. Of course, you look at the historical data. Who really cares? I don't think retail sales has been that impactful. Obviously, we wanted to see above 0 here, but that is one of your bigger pieces for tomorrow. We do have CPI numbers coming out for the UK. That's going to be at 11 p.m. Pacific time, so that might be a little bit late to do anything there. Now, your real announcements happen later on in the week, so I'll just save those ones. Since I am doing a show tomorrow with Bill Addis, we'll cover these at the end, but you have the Swiss National Bank as well as the Bank of England coming out their rate statements on Thursday. All right, and earnings-wise, there's nothing. You had Toll Brothers, you have KB Homes and Lennar, but really nothing that exceptional. I'll cover those on tomorrow's show. So that's it. What else do I see here? It's even spinning here in Cape Canaveral. Wow. Strange. I don't know what to tell you there, guys. My apologies if it's spinning. That said, I'm going to wrap it up. Bill Addis is the guest for tomorrow. If you have questions for Bill, let me know. Hopefully he's not going to flake this time, but Bill's going to talk about Jerome Powell, what the Fed said, what are some of the finer little details of the announcement of the meeting, and that should be our show for tomorrow. So thank you guys so much. Sorry for the spinning wheel over here, but I hope it all goes well for you, and I will see you guys tomorrow.